And so it's the same thing with white people here, that they do certain things that they think is just normal, but that's actually part of white culture, right?
They get to another country, they're like, wait a minute. No one's shooting up schools here? That's so weird. I guess we should start that.
Oh no! Don't export that. Our export should be film and bombs, not shooting up.
No, don't call the ambulance. Don't call the ambulance.
Call an ambulance. Yeah.
Somebody needs to that.
Oh my God. Jesus, I'm bleeping that shit out, bro.
I'm bleeping that one out.
Yeah, you should bleep that down.
Before we get to the video, please like, comment, subscribe, share it to that uncle who's a communist. And if he isn't, he will be.
Don't forget to follow us on Patreon at patreon.com/revolutionaryrhetoric. And Revolutionary Rhetoric is an affiliate of the Anti-Capitalist Podcast Network.
All right, let's get to the video. Hello, welcome back.
We forgot how to do this. It's been so long.
Yeah, dude, it's been forever.
2 months, 2-something months.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. We are on a hiatus. We had a couple things going down. I got married.
Ew, congrats, Kanan got married. It was a lovely wedding, but we talk about it a little bit this episode, but it was a lovely wedding. We are recording this after having recorded our guest. We have a lovely guest on today, and we talk about a couple things like Kanan's wedding. But yeah, we've been gone for 2 months. We thank you for your patience. We're back now. We're excited to be back.
Yeah, and this is officially the start of season 2.
We're calling it season 2. Yeah, we're coming back. We did 61 episodes. Took about a 2-month break, and now we're coming back with what we're calling season 2, episode 1. So
I think season 2 will be a little shorter than 61 episodes.
Sure, yeah, we should probably
maybe 20,
maybe
like
organize this a little better. Or something. We have a lovely guest on. You definitely, if you're kind of in the leftist social media, leftist podcast space, you've definitely come across Seizethemeansshirts before. He makes amazing like short TikTok and Instagram reel like content, like the conversational, very like debunking like arguments from like right wing people, debunking arguments from left wing or from like liberals. He's really good at like calling out liberal hypocrisy, and we talk about where he gets those ideas from and how that channel kind of came to be.
Great dude. Yeah, and that was like I was mentioning that we were camping.
Yeah,
and I literally just got back here. Like I shit you not, we were like trying to beat the clock on the ferry. It was like 5 hours away, like in Forks area.
Oh,
if you're a Twilight
for
buff.
Twilight, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's not the reason we went, but it was like an Olympic National Forest.
Definitely the reason you went.
But dude, not me, maybe me, but not me. I've been there like 4 times already, but we had to go to like Nea Bay up there, like Cape Flattery. It's like the edge of the continental U.S. or whatever. But yeah, like got home at 4 o'clock, put on all of my clothes, took a shower real quick because I smelled like smoke, campfire smoke. And I immediately rushed over here.
Nice.
So I've been driving all day. Oh my God, man. Wow. I feel like poop, but also awesome.
I'm glad to have you.
Well, this is season 2.
Season 2?
Episode number 1. I didn't even know we're going to have a season 2. I thought we were just going to keep ringing out those episodes.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're still going to call it episode 62, right? Like,
let's call it episode 1.
You want to call it episode 2?
Yeah, let's call it episode 1. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we have here
with us
Seizethemeansshirts.
Seizethemeansshirts. Hugo.
Yellow.
Infamous, famous. I don't know what you want to say about that, but like, dude, your clips are going super viral sometimes, and I'm like, how does he do it? Good God. Fantastic content, my guy.
love the stuff, man. Really happy to have you on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh my God.
Well, first off, like as we said at the beginning of the show, but definitely be following Seizethemeansshirts if you're not already. So I have we prepared just a few questions for you. I mean, this is mostly going to be a casual conversation. As we mentioned, you weren't here when we mentioned it, but at the beginning of the show, we mentioned this is the first time Kanan and I have recorded in 2 months, give or take, since like early March, maybe even, or mid-March. So we took a kind of an extended break. You got married.
I got married.
Wow, congrats. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of big life events happen. A lot of like personal stuff happened in my life. A lot of tragedies happen.
So we're like, you know what? We need a little hiatus. Let's restart this with season 2. So for those have like, where the fuck is their content? It's there every week, and suddenly this disappeared. Yeah. Well.
So
here we are.
What I was going to say is we have a handful of questions we kind of ask every guest, and we always start with kind of the most basic. What radicalized you? So like we're all kind of on this position of extreme leftism, whether it's like Marxism, Leninism. I think most of the people we talk to are like some shade of Marxist Leninist. or at least some under the umbrella term of Marxist, I guess the general term there. So we kind of always ask all of our guests, what radicalized you? Like, what is it that brought you here? Because this is not, I would say that it's not typically a position that your average person, your normie, in your day-to-day life gets a lot of exposure to. Something has to happen, I think, in your life to kind of like take you down this path.
Yeah, so mine was pretty wild. I've had a lot of interactions with the police growing up. I grew up in like northern New Jersey, like pretty much across from Times Square, in a town called, you could see Times Square from my house. So I've had a lot of interactions with the police, but a couple years ago during COVID, I was pretty apolitical. Like, voted for Obama, and like I went to like some Bernie rallies. That's about it. I hadn't really done anything. So I think it's during COVID, right? Like right at the beginning of COVID, I'm a real estate agent, and I'm showing a luxury building, a newly built luxury building in East Flatbush. And I bring a client to this empty building, and we get up to the gym, which is like one of the top floors, and 5 policemen walk in with their guns drawn and hold me at gunpoint. And I actually think the client was from Seattle or from Oregon. I confuse both of those. But so he always says they never pointed the gun at him. They only pointed the guns at me. So all 5 of them hold me at gunpoint, and they're like, "What are you doing here? Get your hands up." And I'm explaining, like, "Hey guys, I put on my best customer service, like, "Hey guys, how's it going? Like, no problem here. I'm a real estate agent." And they're like, "How do we know that's the truth?" And I'm just like, I have the codes and I have the keys to this entire building. And they're like, "What are the codes?" And I was like, I don't know, but I'm going to reach very slowly into my pocket, and I'm going to pull out my phone, and I'm going to look for and I looked it up, and I slowly did everything, and they kept their freaking guns on me, and they're like shaking, bro.
Yeah.
Like they're like freaking out. And I'm super calm because in my mind, I'm like protecting my client. But yeah, I pulled out my phone. I got the codes. I even was like, "Hey, look, I have the landlord's phone number. I could call him right now, the management company." And they were like, once they realized that, I was supposed to be there, they were like, damn it. Like one of them was like physically angry. Like he was like, fuck, like he wanted.
He's
action.
like, this today is the day some motherfucker gets shot. Like to me, like that's a crazy ass story. As a white dude, as a fucking white passing guy, it's a crazy ass story. What I'm confused about, how did that radicalize you? Because I feel like that shit happens all the time to black people, right? But then turn around, how did that radicalize whoever the person is with you? Because they're not really exposed to that. I'm assuming they're white, right? Or
yeah, I think
okay.
He was.
Okay, that should have been a moment for him, not for you. You know what I mean?
Right. No, like I said, I think I've had interactions before, but I always like wrote them off as like, yeah, cops suck. I've been arrested for skateboarding. I got arrested for skateboarding on the train.
Me too.
Same.
Yeah, and like,
Twinsies.
I actually, this is super embarrassing. I cried. I cried because he like handcuffed me and my 3 friends, and then he uncuffed all 3 of them and said, "You guys can go." And I was like, "Why not me?" And all my friends started like recording. They were like, "What the fuck? This is so racist." So like, but even that, like, I wrote it off as like, whatever, it's no big deal. Yeah. And like this really, I don't know, for some reason, like maybe because I had just gotten married. I had just gotten married back then, and I was just like, dude, I could have died. And like it wouldn't have even been that big a news. Like they just would have been like, oh, like, I mean, they would have like showed my record or something later on and be like, well, he does have a past. He smoked weed when he was 17, so he's obviously a piece of shit.
He would have been like
he
just
smoked
discredited.
The devil's lettuce once.
Yeah. Well, I'm on record on this show as like my guilty pleasure is watching those weird First Amendment auditors. I don't know if you're familiar with this like phenomenon of YouTube videos of First Amendment audits, and like a lot of those guys like will like if they highlight clips is actually really similar situations is black real estate agents showing houses and how often they're held at gunpoint and like detained and like until the cops can figure it out. That's actually it's not funny you mentioned that, but like as you mentioned that, I'm like, oh yeah, that's like not, I don't want to use the word phenomenon, but that's like a very, because it's not phenomenal, it's also very like obvious as to why it's happening, right? But it's more common than I think maybe you think, is like if you go down this rabbit hole of First Amendment YouTube warriors, which they're all weird right-wing libertarians, so I'm not like endorsing their content, but like that's a really common thing.
I feel like that's like a cop's dream, man. You know how like people go to like fucking Pornhub and shit, you know, that realtor, like real estate agent fantasy. Well, the cops go on their like cop hub, and then they're just like, you know, cop shoots black guy as a real estate agent. And it just seems like it's happening so often. It's like one of their fantasies.
Well, I mean that's kind of true though. Like a bunch of cops in Seattle got in trouble for they shot a kid. Didn't they shoot a kid like in the nuts, or they shot a kid in the nuts with like a beanbag bullet? I'm half remembering a story from like the COVID protests.
I've never heard of that, but I'm sure it happened.
No, okay, I'm conflating two different stories. There is one, I think it was like in Detroit or Pittsburgh, or it was somewhere in like the Northeast somewhere. Yeah. A cop beanbagged a kid's nut, and he lost his testicle because of like a beanbag chair. And but all the cops in the force had little challenge coins that has like a nut on it, and that's what they like give each other as far as like if they so it's like a point of pride within the department. They laugh about it. They made like little. So it's like a very like it's a point of pride. Yeah, they made trinkets.
In the nuts.
But also the Seattle Police Department, there was like an undercover video of one of their substations in Seattle, and it had like I forget the details, but it had like a MAGA flag, and it had like a whole bunch of like bullshit like you would expect.
In the police station?
In the police station,
That's not even allowed.
It's not, but that's a separate problem. The problem is that there was a kid they had killed, and they had like a pinata of him or something like hanging in. I forget. I'll have to pull up the actual details. But
I gotta see this goddamn article.
But it was it was awful. Yeah, a lot of police got fired because like it was them. It was an undercover photo or a video, and there was like a photo of that kid with like a bullseye drawn over him, or a pinata of that kid. It was some like disgusting display of like their pride of having shot this kid. So like you joke about cops going to watch that stuff, but I mean like from everything I know, like that's not a joke. They do shit like that. They're they're psychopaths.
Yeah, well obviously a lot of humor comes from like a coping mechanism of just trying to survive in this world and make like I guess make a laugh of what's going on, even though it's obviously these situations that we're being put in, that black people are being put in, that just like the lower class is being put in general. They're not laughable situations, but like what are you gonna do but make a joke out of it and try to survive using humor?
Sure. Gallows humor.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, let me back up a second too, because we talked about like what radicalized you, but let me ask if you're comfortable just sharing, I guess, like what flavor of leftist are you?
I mean, I guess no, I'm just a Marxist-Leninist.
Okay.
I'm driving harder into like more Trotsky.
All right, we're ending this podcast right now.
I'm diving a little harder. It's funny because I have Gramsci as like my PFP, but like I haven't read that much Gramsci, and like now I'm like diving harder into Gramsci but no, originally what happened is right after that I started reading Autobiography of Malcolm X. I read Asada, and I wasn't radicalized yet, but then that kind of like pushed me into that direction. And then two of my really good friends are Marxists, and they were like, you should do something. And I joined IMT, International Marxist Tendency.
Yeah.
And so that is how I got introduced into everything like that. Was like, especially during COVID, it was all virtual.
Yeah.
So we really studied, and I learned a lot. And then I'm not with them anymore, but after that, I've also just dove a little harder into more community, like mutual aid stuff, and that's more of what I do now. Like I do more organizing in my community, and I've been doing that for a couple of years.
Awesome.
So yeah, I would say I wouldn't even say like I just read Conquest of Bread, and I was like, oh my god, I agree with all of this. But I'm like, maybe I don't know if I'd say I'm like an
anarchist. Yeah. Well, I mean that's cool. That's right on. I was in SRA for a long time, especially like starting with COVID, and there were a bunch of IMT guys in SRA, and this was in Arizona, so they were always pretty good guys. I think that's a Trotskyist organization. I think, or at least
it is very Trotskyist
under their like larger umbrella of Trotskyism. But they were nice enough guys. We give Trotskyists a pass because we just assume they haven't read enough yet. They haven't read enough Stalin yet. Oh
my god. Yeah. I have a hard time like just getting into a fucking socialist communist party here. You know how many times I've reached out to like I don't know PSL, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll get back to you. I'm like, okay, this is great. By the way, I have a personal podcast with a co-host. Will this work? Right? Because I'm not dropping my podcast for your party, but I'm not saying my podcast represents your party. And then they're like, oh yeah, we'll see, blah blah blah. And I'm like reaching out for answers, and there's just no.
Yeah.
haven't reached out anything. I'm like, I'm trying to help, but nobody's replying.
Yeah, I've also stepped back from any like organized party.
Yeah,
recently.
I have to at this point. I'm kind of like, all right, whatever. There's nothing I can really do here.
I want to get back to the mutual aid thing. I've taken some time off from that even too, just because my grad work has been kicking my ass. But I'm full-time teacher and a grad student, so and a part-time podcast host.
I don't know either. And then he's doing this podcast.
Yeah,
I'm just like,
that's
bro,
crazy. Oh my god,
dude has zero time.
I have literally zero time. That's another reason we had to take a big hiatus, because I was like, I cannot balance all these things. So
Yeah.
I have so much homework to do this week. But this week is my last week of classes for this semester. I'm taking 2 more classes over the summer, and then I have another full load this next semester.
Okay.
wow.
But that's it. I graduate in December.
Thank
so,
God.
Yeah.
No more. Take it
No
easy,
more.
man.
No, I'm going right back to that PhD, baby.
Are you serious?
No, no,
God.
hell no.
I was like,
Oh my god.
I did meet. I was checking before we started recording. I was on a couple college campuses today. We did a field trip to a college campus today, and I was talking to a PhD in education, actually, which is what I'm getting my grad work in. And I was like, I should do that. I want to be called doctor. They were called doctor, and I was like, that's sick.
Doctor, teacher.
Yeah, and I'm married to a doctor too, an medical doctor. So I want to like get on their level of my spouse's doctor.
Is that what this is? It's just like
It's just
you feel less of a man.
I feel like less of a man because my spouse is a doctor. No way.
Those internal patriarchal instincts are kicking in.
I was gonna
man.
say it's
Yeah.
so patriarchal. Like I can't have my wife. My wife has a
My
master's. I ain't got nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I've long ago recognized that my spouse is just like way more smart than me, way smarter than I am, and like is so much more accomplished. Like went to med school, has all this graduate degrees, like just is a literal scientist, is a doctor, and I'm just like, that's cool. I talk to 14-year-olds about like Karl Marx all day, so it's not like I have the hardest job in the world.
Yeah, see, I'm that neurodivergent guy that's like book smart, I guess slightly street smart, and I know a lot about like random fucking facts, politics, but social cues. Social knowledge, I am garbage, man.
Yeah.
I'll sit here and talk on a podcast, and I'll say something wrong. Everybody look at me. I'm like, what the fuck did I say? But that's what my wife is for. She's excellent in those scenarios. So.
As locking you in.
Yeah.
Well, you had a lovely wedding, by the way.
Thank you, man. I'm glad that you were there.
That was fun.
That was fun. I was honestly drunk by like 5 or 6.
Dude, I watched you drink so much so fast. The second I got there, you were just downing shots and shit, and I was like,
yeah,
oh my god.
Dude, I think I was the last one awake. That was my goal, and I was like, if I have to be the last one awake, I don't care.
That was fun.
2:30 p.m. 2:30 a.m.
Yeah.
I was like the last one. I'm like, finally, I'm like, God knows, like 20 to 30 drinks now, and I can't even fucking remember.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. You're walking around with like Uzo or something at some point.
Rakia.
Yeah, like getting everyone to drink this like super old, like what was it?
It's a 40-year-old brand of Loza.
Okay.
So it's a brandy.
Oh, it was a Bosnian brandy?
It's Italian brandy.
Okay.
It's grape Italian brandy.
That's what it was.
40 years old that I've been saving for this wedding.
It was delicious, but yeah, you were very excited about it.
Dude, I was. I've been waiting my entire life to open this goddamn bottle.
Also,
I was almost more excited for that brandy than the marriage.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. My wife is watching this. I'm just joking. Oh, God. You got to keep the viewers in somehow.
Well, all right, let's move on. I want to move on to my next question. This is a chicken or the egg question. What came first, the shirts or the social media?
Oh, the social media. Because I started making videos because I didn't want to like argue with every single person in my life. You know what I mean? Especially when when the cop thing first happened. I posted it. I wrote the story and I put it on my Facebook, which is a huge mistake.
Uh-huh.
And then like all of these like people that I know from work, family members, like people were like defending the police and like a lot of like support, but there was a lot of like racist stuff being said and like, well, it's a good thing you were like nice to them, you know, like what, it was just crazy stuff. So I didn't want to like argue with everyone. So I just was like, I made like little videos and put it on my TikTok, which had like no followers. And I just was like, oh, that felt good. And then those videos kind of got comments. And then I started making replies to their comments, like
First
video
mistake.
replies to those. Yeah, so that came first. And then my wife was in grad school. She was on summer break. She had nothing to do. And she was like, why don't she just started design? She made me a Parenti like heavy metal shirt. Like
I saw that one on your
weird.
Etsy.
She made that for me personally, and I was like, whoa, this is awesome. So she like ordered it, and then she made me this. It's like a Marx, but he's like a skull, and like.
Saw that one too.
So she started just making these designs, and I was like, oh, why don't you like make a little Etsy shop? And yeah, and then we did that, and then, like I said, I got some weird comments that were like, not threatening, but calling me the N word for not voting for Kamala or something.
Yeah, sure.
So weird.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna take my name off of this, and I just made the Etsy shop. She picked the name, Seizethemeans, like whatever, Seizethemeans 24 on Etsy, and I just made that my Instagram and TikTok handle.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's what came
That's cool.
first.
That was a good idea, honestly, because
Yeah.
with like with everything that's going on right now, with like the deportations and like traveling restrictions, and I was supposed to go to Pennsylvania. I never ended up going.
Oh, you didn't go to that wedding?
No, I never went.
I saw your sister's Instagram post about this.
Yeah, because I'm like honestly sort of scared. I'm sitting here and I'm
Yeah.
like, I am a naturalized citizen, so I'm not born here. I am a immigrant. I am raised Muslim, so for all they know, I'm a terrorist. And
Right.
third, I'm a communist. I'm like, that's like
You
the
hit the- yeah,
only
you're-
thing I'm missing is the skin color, bro.
Yeah.
Right? That's the only thing I'm missing. I'm lucky I'm hiding behind this like white passing veil, right?
Yeah, because you have the trifecta:
Yeah.
the immigrant, Muslim, communist. Yeah, yeah, dude. If you had dark skin, ooh, you'd be cooked. You'd
I
be
know, that's what I'm
cooked.
saying. And so I'm like, there's people that have been seized, right?
Oh, yeah.
and let go. But
some haven't, though.
They were literally like, they had the permanent visas.
Mhm.
Some of them even had naturalized citizenships. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm not going to risk this right now. I'm going to lay low a little bit. I'm not going to do like major traveling on aircraft.
Sure.
And I was just like, I'm not going to fucking risk it, man.
Did you guys go on your honeymoon already?
No, we're going to save that for next year. Hopefully when Trump is impeached.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know, man.
That's not going to happen.
He's officially
So-
floated the third term. Like Trump
Bro.
2028 is like their website's been they
That's
like made merch.
crazy.
Yeah, they have
That's
hats.
absolute Crazy.
What
man.
is it though? Like the White House has been giving out hats of Trump 2028. Like they've already started campaigning
No,
for a
that's-
third term.
No, Matt, that's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, dude, it's over. I mean, this is it. Oh, by the way, happy Mussolini Death Day.
Happy.
Yeah, happy
Mussolini
Mussolini
Death-
Upside Down Day.
Upside down day.
Yeah,
That's what it's
upside
called.
down day.
Yeah.
Speaking of the rising tide of fascism,
Yeah. Oh my god, I still
Some good
love that
news.
fucking that tweet from Jim Carrey. Oh my god, have you ever seen that? He's like, if you ever see what fascism ends to, take a look at this, and then there's a picture of Mussolini
just upside down.
upside down, hanging upside down, and subtweeted underneath that is Alessandra Mussolini, his granddaughter, saying, "You are a bitch" or something like that. or I forgot what it is. I was like, you are like an animal, or you were a beast. He's like, no, that's actually what your father was.
Yeah. Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
I didn't know
That
Jim Carrey was based like
and I'm
that.
like,
Dude.
bro, honestly, I was already a huge fan of Jim Carrey. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective was one of the top 10 movies of all time, in my opinion. That from me, right? And now this is
To
his
raise
levels,
them up, yeah.
I'm like, dude's a god.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Well, how's it been going? Like running both like a fairly successful or a really successful social media account, and then a successful like merch store. I guess is it fair to call it a merch store or a t-shirt shop?
I'd say it's a merch store. We don't sell a lot of shirts. I'm a very bad. I do not like to advertise in any way. Like when we first started, when I first switched it to Seizethemeans, I was like, oh, and I would like post one of her graphics, and then write a little history on like, we have the Gramsci shirt, and I wrote a little history about Antonio Gramsci, and then I did that for Marx, and I did that for Michael Parenti, and then we only have she only made like 10 designs, and like she went back to grad school, so
Yeah.
we have never updated the shop.
my God, man.
I check in and but I really just I have the same shirts. Sometimes I order new ones for myself. We I think we sold. I think we profited like $250 last year, and I donate anywhere between $20 and $40 a month to either Palestine or to I send medical supplies to Cuba sometimes. I send and like monthly I donate like any of the profits. I'm like, oh cool, it just comes out of there. So
Oh, awesome.
the shop isn't really it wasn't set up to like sell. It was just set up like, hey, we made these shirts. If you want one, like you could have
Yeah.
get one. They're cool.
That's awesome.
But,
I think I'm gonna order one because like I have a
Absolutely.
John Brown shirt, I have a Mark shirt, and I've gotten them
Nice.
from just smaller Etsy shops, and so like it's possible. Well, I didn't get them from yours because the designs I have you don't have, but it's like yeah, I support those small Etsy shops of people that are just printing their own kind of like John Brown and Mark shirts. So why not have one of yours too? I like the metal Parenti one. I was looking at that one today. So
Yeah, I like that one too. I like that one, and I like my John Brown shirt. I wear that all the time to like any metal show I go to. I always wear my John Brown shirt.
I just have I think it was, I forget who it was from. It was just the John Brown Did Nothing Wrong with like the.
Nice.
Yeah, I think they're just called John Brown Did Nothing Wrong shirts or something. It's that company. They make a lot of stickers and shirts. So
Yeah.
We actually got flagged for some of the Fidel and the Chase stuff, and they like took it down for a while, and like so.
Really? I thought I saw them. Were they up now? I thought the Che ones
they're
were
up.
at least,
I think they're up again, but they took it all down for a while, and then they let us back up.
I want a Fidel shirt.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I don't know if do I have a Fidel shirt?
I don't know. I don't remember a Fidel shirt. I saw the Che Parenti.
I know Che. Yeah, we have Che, and then we have Cienfuegos too.
Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah, and the Asada shirt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. There's some cool shirts. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely order one after this call. I'll hop on and order one, and then feel free to give that money to Palestine. So right on. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. That's cool. I was gonna say, like, we need to make something soon. I really want.
Yeah, I want
some sort of merch. I was stickers.
Yeah,
I've been thinking about a beanie, man. Like, just make like 20 beanies and just
beanies.
Give like a free for like the subscribers. They just have to enter like a raffle, and we could just send it to them.
One of the biggest like wholesale apparel companies is based in Western Washington.
Are they?
Issaquah, yeah. Sanmar is what they call it. They're like they're like a big blank. When I worked in marketing in Arizona, we ordered hundreds, thousands of Sanmar shirts like yearly. So
goddamn,
I never knew they were based here, which is just a
nice.
coincidence.
Maybe we could just drive up and be like, hey.
They're in Issaquah. I don't really know where Issaquah is, but it's
southeast of here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like south of Bellevue.
I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, I've been wanting to do like beanies or like a hat or something. Something cool. Simple.
Yeah.
Do you guys have like a catchphrase? You should use it. You should put a catchphrase on.
We don't have a catchphrase.
Not yet. I was thinking about just like our logo for
just
now.
Our logo, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that is a cool logo. Yeah.
You just redesigned the new logo too, which
we could also do the new logo.
Yeah,
I did like a secondary logo because, for example, when we made the account on the notebook, the Red Book.
Red Book, yeah.
Red Book. God, I already forgot what it's called. They would not accept our logo.
Oh, because it has the hammer and sickle?
I don't want to have a hammer and sickle. They just wouldn't accept the logo, and I was thinking, I'm like,
oh, yeah,
come on, this is the Chinese government. Like, we're on your side. Come on, man. Come on. Come on. And I was like, come on. And they just kept taking it down. I would post it. They would take it down 20 seconds later.
Yeah, so you created just the RR logo.
Yeah, so I created basically a new secondary logo just for that, but I've been using it on, like, thumbnails and stuff like that, and it works out pretty well, so maybe we could use that. But, yeah, I love your shirts. I love the whole idea, but what I really do love is your fucking short videos. They're so well done.
The Instagram content is just top tier. Yeah,
absolutely. Like, how are you coming up with these videos? Are you just sitting there like sketching in your head, or one day you just pick up the phone and it's like, fuck it, I know what I'm saying?
No, I mean, a lot of them are different things. A lot of them, like, it's still like I said from the beginning, I'm just angry at like the hypocrisy, and then like I see it and I immediately try to twist it into a way that's like I sound very like sarcastic in a lot of the videos.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I know I like I'm just like, and like I love the idea of like pitching it like if it's a good thing, you know what I mean? Like, especially like the Democratic Party stuff, like, no, it's totally fine that we're bombing these children because at least it's, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, there's
just so much that makes me angry about it, and so like it's very easy for me to come up with the ideas because like it's the only way for me to get that anger out without like blowing up at my coworkers, you know, or at my family, you know, like now I can sit peacefully at a family dinner and listen to them say the most asinine thing in the world, and I'm just like,
that's going to the next
material.
video.
That's going to be a video soon.
Content
Such
brain.
a great argument. Oh yeah, that really
brings out the notepad. Is like, what are you doing? I'm just like, don't worry about it.
Well, I like your content too because it is like very accessible. Like I have friends that like aren't really as, you know, as radicalized as leftists. Like they certainly wouldn't call themselves Marxists. Like they'd vote for Kamala, they'd vote for Obama for a third term if they could. Those type of people, and they'll like post your stuff sometimes, like their Instagram stories or whatever. And I'm like, so you're like, you get it, you're close. I think you're a good like gateway drug to like Marxism. And I think like it was like those old like Rathbone.
Rathbone's pretty cool.
Like the old he was like this a while. Like my point is that just like these people that are like mainstream enough and like people that are kind of like flirting with like leftist like social media spheres, and like they're very we're very like bite-sized palatable messages that like can't people are. I'm like, oh, it's just interesting to see like what I would consider not like straight up Marxist Leninists like also like consuming this content, and that's great.
Yeah, no, I exactly, and I think it's just like the easy, like you're very well done when it comes to like trying to show out the hypocrisy by just showing how with with that sassy voice, you know what I'm saying? How ridiculous these statements are.
Yeah.
And like you don't even have to explain to them the ridiculous of the statements. You just kind of have to say the statements back to the people that are saying it, if that makes any sense. And like maybe they'll hear themselves and be like, oh shit, this is kind of what I believe. Am I really this fucking stupid? Right? And I like that whole notion of being be able to like just turn their own words back onto them, and you don't even have to really say a thing.
It's really great. It's actually been really helpful for me to do it, because I think what I started doing it a lot when I started like reading about when I was in IMT, and I would like read, like ask questions about like the Communist Manifesto or whatever we were reading, and they would like explain it back to me in like an easy format. I was like, you know what would be great if like there was like a translator, you know, like just a way to translate this. And then I would go like talk to like right-wing family members and just kind of like pepper it into conversation without saying any of the scary words. And I'd be like, whoa, that was so easy. They're like, yeah, we do deserve the same rights as them.
Yeah, I saw you made the video on that too, right?
Yeah. I do it all the time, and that's what I'm saying. It's like it really is from real life. Like I just get frustrated in real life, and it turns into like it gives me the idea for the video. Like that's why I don't feel like it's like a talent. I'm just like angry and like sitting
speaking
here,
from
like,
the heart. Yeah, just angry,
just like sitting in this chair right here, like wow,
fucking
white knuckling it. Yeah,
fucking Bill Burr vibes, you know.
What's next for the channel? What's next for the account? Like where do you want to go from here? What's your next goal?
I honestly never I never had any goals.
Just vibes.
Yeah, because like when it really comes down to it, I do see how it could be successful, like agitprop, but like I never intended it to be that. I always like made it just for myself, just to like, and one of my favorite things is connecting with so many comrades all over and like seeing so many people relate. And now it is getting to the point where like like my neighbor said the other day, he's like, I saw your video. And I'm just like, oh. And I was like, maybe he's on that side of, but then I'm always like, are they like Bernie bros? And then like, which makes me worried because I have like so many like anti-Bernie AOC videos.
Yeah.
But no, I don't have. I think one of my favorite things has been understanding that I am figuring out a way to explain the hypocrisy without saying any of the scary words. So if there is a way for me to like, you know, get people to do more political work in their community, more like organizing and mutual aid, and join some sort of organization. Like that's really now for the last few months, once the video started getting more viral, I was like, okay, I think I need to make sure that I'm like focusing on a solution instead of just like making fun of everybody and making people feel like they're idiots, you know? So I usually try to have a good message, either fundraising or, you know, do something, you know, read a book, you know, for the love of God, read Black Shirts and Reds.
Yeah.
Like, please. But at the very least, you know, join some org and go help someone. So that's really my goal. I do work here in my community. That's more important to me, like what I do on a daily basis. But it is fun. I just love making videos, man.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Making internet content's fun. It's stressful sometimes.
Yeah,
maybe it's only stressful because I have so much going on.
Yeah, that's very true. It's like if you had just work and you'd have school, I think it'd be a lot.
It'd be a lot more fun.
Yeah, but it's like with all that compounding on everything, and it's just like you have a fit schedule. It's like once a week. You're like, fuck, dude. Where am I gonna find these like 5 to 6 hours or however long it needs to be to edit these videos, render them, make thumbnails? It's like, good God. And I'm like, we have full-time jobs. We have all this shit to do. And I have to do this on top of it. As if I can make this my full-time job, I think this fucking podcast would have fucking took it off because I would be putting so much energy and effort into like little graphics, little editing tricks. Because I can do those editing tricks, I just don't have the time. I used to put so much more into the editing than I do now, and that's because I was so excited that I like literally slept 4 hours, 5 hours sometimes just to get things done. And I'd wake up and go work my 12-hour shift, get off of work, and start making shorts at home. And it's like, where am I going to fit the gym to that? We're like, it's a pain in the ass, and that's like the proletariat. It's just gonna have a hard time to send out these messages. And what's great about these short videos is that they don't take very long, and
they don't.
And you can put a lot of contextual messaging in such a short amount of time, and people are just going to sit there and scroll regardless. Maybe you can, maybe they'll scroll once, and then suddenly you pop up, and you have like a banger intro, and they're like, oh, this guy's got my attention, and maybe from your video they've become radicalized. So you don't know like all the small things that you could actually do to change people's minds, and how many things you've affected just by making those short videos. So I do thank you for like making those videos and like sending them out to millions of people. It means a lot, man, like more than you think.
Thanks. I mean, I never thought they would get that many views. Any of them would get that many views. It just kind of like happened on its own. But yeah, no, it doesn't. It takes. Life is like really hard, bro. Like, why do I have to work so much? And I'm still struggling. And like, you don't have time to do all this stuff. I've learned to just take breaks too. Like, just stop. Like, it's really hard. Like you guys just did, like the hiatus. Like, I got really anxious a couple months ago, and I was like, I don't have any ideas. I don't have any, and then I just stopped making videos. It's like, no one's paying me to do this. You know what I mean? I'm not making any money. Like, who cares? And I just didn't do anything for 2 weeks, and I like played guitar and went to work and did my little, did mutual aid. And then one day I had an idea, and then I did it, and then I went back to it.
Yeah, it's great.
So it's just like whatever. Yeah.
Sometimes you need that break to like have that.
That like refresh. Well, I also like, because I find myself like it's not just like the actual doing the thing, but it's also like the thought and the energy and like the thinking that is required to do the thing, like especially for our show, because we do more of like political analysis, like current events kind of thing, and so that requires us to like first stay like glued into news and like current events 24/7, which is a fucking nightmare. Once we started doing it becomes like incredibly like taxing to just like follow the news every day. Like,
it's also sad.
It's just like fucks with your mental health, and we're just like reading about Palestine every day. We're reading about all this stuff every day, and we're like, fuck, dude. This is hard. And so it's not only is it the actual like the editing and the timing and like getting you over here and finding a night that we can sit down and record this, it's also the hours every week leading up to that to just stay on top of the news.
It's a 24/7 kind of thing.
It's like a thing. And like I will admit that like when I was in like the deep throes of my grad school and like it was, I have like a ton of papers to grade for my 9th graders or whatever, I'm like not following the news, and so like it was kind of like a crunchy thing where we'd have to record, and I'd be like, okay, let me try to cram the last week's worth of news in this 30 minutes before we press record.
Because
which is like, and then
we'll hear some of it, but we haven't had enough time to like really subjectively dissect what's going on and kind of give a
because I saw like I got like a push notification is like, oh, like a Wisconsin judge was arrested for like trying to block one of Trump's like ICE orders, and I'm like, oh, judges are being arrested by the FBI now? That's probably not good. Anyway, I gotta go back to grade these papers, and like I don't have time to think about that right now. And I'm like, I need to like, that's important shit. I should probably think about that and like, what does this mean for the future of our country? What does this mean for like judicial purview and stuff? And it's like, God, that's a pretty fucking big deal that like judges can be arrested now for like defying Trump. That's actually like, if you know your history, kind of like the big, like one of the big first hurdles is like dismantling dismantling courts, and like that's kind of a big deal, and like we should probably be paying more attention to that. But I just do not have the energy, and I just cannot care. I'm like, I don't give a shit right now. I have this paper that I write this weekend, and like that's all I can see, and that's all I can think about. And like I don't know, there's just like been some pretty scary shit. Like you mentioned the immigration stuff, and like it's actually like a lot worse. I will admit this is like worse than, not worse, but it's bad in a different way than I had originally anticipated. Like Trump 1.0 was like goofy and like harmful, sure, to certain like communities, and I don't want to discount the harm to like certainly minorities, certainly LGBTQ, but it was almost goofy in a lot of ways. He was less. It seemed like he was much less competent. All of the cabinet members that he had in place back then were much more competent, which meant that they were a little more institutionalized, that they were a little more reserved, they would pull their punches a little bit. Well, they've gone full Looney Tunes this time around,
bro, we got
and it's just
Pete
like
Hegseth.
Pete Hegseth, and it's just like the guy in charge of like the FBI. What's his name?
Dude's drinking whiskey in the
yeah,
middle of a fucking
it's
press
just like
conference.
every,
What the fuck?
it's just every single person so that Trump has surrounded himself in Trump 2.0 are just sycophants and like yes men to the extreme. And so like it's a lot worse because it's no longer comical and it's no longer goofy. It's just like straight up like dystopian.
Yeah, that's kind of why I want to like start heading towards more of like, let's get people on to talk about them and little less on the news. Like, well, of course we'll still have news segments, but make that 1 or 2 times a week and not like every single week.
2 times a month,
keep up. Yeah.
And there's so much going on. Like there's in every single in Florida, in Texas, they're doing this like they're like stripping public schools completely, and with the immigration, they're doing the H2A visa. Like there's so much at once. That's why like sometimes I'm like I can't take it all in, and then
that's the point.
Yeah, and then slowly like you just pick 1 or 2 things that you could hit on.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that too, because that's kind of where we always circle back to is like that exact point, like choosing 1 or 2 things that you can make a difference at, and for in a lot of ways that's mutual aid for us. Like I said, I have stepped back from mutual aid just this semester. I was pretty heavily involved in a couple local groups prior to this, but just lack of time, I haven't as much. But I wanted to ask you what kind of, if you're okay with sharing, and feel free to just say pass on anything that's a little too personal or that can dox you too hard. But like, what kind of mutual aid are you doing out in your neck of the woods? Like, what is it that you're working with?
No. Yeah, I share about it all the time. So there's an organization, there's a bookstore not too far from me called Mil Mundos, and it's an activist bookstore that's Spanglish, so it has a lot of like English and Spanish books, and they are a non-profit, but then they also do. We have Mil Mundos en Común, which is like a separate entity that runs out of the same place. And we do distributions several times a week. We also work with other organizations in the neighborhood, like Bushwick Ayuda Mutua, Bushwick Mutual Aid. So basically we give out, we have a free store for clothes, and then we do distributions where people sign up, say everything they need, and then we give out through appointments. We give out Pampers, tampons, pads, COVID-19 tests, COVID masks, school supplies, kitchen supplies, and pretty much like anything that people donate. Like you can go to the bookstore and donate whatever you want from 12 to 8, 12 to 7, whenever we're open, and we donate that back into the community. It's actually the most organized mutual aid I've ever done. Usually we just do like, I've done food distributions, I've done free stores, but this is like appointments. Like it's all run by women. They have Google calendars. We had to sign forms, like volunteer forms. This is the most organized. I'm learning a lot from them. Like just from like organizing at the community level. Like this is insane. I love it. You get as involved. The group is pretty small because they don't like really big groups, because then that's when it goes crazy. Mm-hmm. So with a smaller group, we're able to like do a little bit more but yeah, there are some really great people that are just very like they're there all the time doing all the work. So yeah, amazing. I love it. Yeah.
Say the name of the organization one more time.
It's Mil Mundos, 1,000 Worlds.
Okay, perfect. And do they have I assume some kind of like Venmo or Cash App or like some kind of donation forms? We can add the links to our description for that.
Yeah, I think you can, if you can go to Mil Mundos NYC or Mil Mundos en Común. I bet I'm pretty sure they have
okay, we'll find some of their links and we'll drop them in our description for any folks that want to donate to the mutual aid group in New York. Awesome.
Or just order books. The books, it's all nonprofit, so the money goes back into. Oh,
amazing! Yeah, we'll drop that link as well. That's cool. Yeah, I like what you said about like organized mutual aid, and like again, I don't want to shit on anarchists because like I've also read Conquest of Bread, and like yeah, it's a good book. But anarchists have a tendency to start mutual aid groups and then run them like complete shit shows, and so I love their drive to create mutual aid. Mad respect for that. But it's the Marxist mutual aid groups, or at least like the I'm going to say it's the Marxist mutual aid groups that are like, they have spreadsheets. There's like new member orientation. There's forms.
Yep.
The mutual aid group that I'm involved with had all those exact same things. It's spreadsheets for sign up. It's incredibly just so organized. Like the accounting they do, there's new member orientations. There's forms you have to fill out and stuff. And it's just like, it's incredibly organized. It's incredibly well run. And they're all party members. They're all communists. So I'm like, yeah, cool.
Yeah, well, there's a reason why all socialist governments were, for the most part, Marxist.
Yeah.
Like, kind of hard to run, a country as an anarchist or as an
Sure.
anarcho-syndicalism is like, okay, bro, what happens when the next door, invades with their fucking army? And like,
that just goes back to reading Parenti. He talks about that in Black Shirts and Rose.
Right.
Yeah. He talks about that. What is it? The anarchist army? Like, what are you gonna do when you're invaded?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a really funny sketch. I don't know. I saw this on, I think it was my personal Instagram, but I don't know if I said it. It was like, it was this anarchist revolution, and it was like, okay, but who's gonna like make the shirts, and who's gonna like run? And it was, I don't know. It was a sketch.
I don't know, man.
Funny.
It's all based off vibes, dude.
Yeah, I don't like just
It's all
totally shitting
vibes,
on
man.
other leftists, other leftists, but sometimes I'll make fun of anarchists and trots, and that's my allowance.
Oh my god.
Well, awesome, man.
I was thinking we should do like a round table with our group, like everybody in the group.
Get like the Brady Bunch, like the 12 heads, like left with the projector and Seize the Memes and Action Comics, or
don't name all of them. We don't want to dox all of ourselves in a little group.
Well, it's just like all of these like cool leftist podcasts that you should be following and following their Instagrams.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it'd be cool to have like a little round table once in a while and just talk about what the hell's going on, or just talk shit. I mean, really.
That would be fun. I was on Cars and Comrades, but that was like a 5-hour.
Dude,
it was all set. It was my entire Saturday.
My God,
I was
sober at the beginning, drunk at the end.
Yeah, we've had some good conversations with those guys too, or at least well, I don't want to say his real name, but yeah, at least one of the guys from Cars and Karma we've had on our show a couple times now. Yeah, and that's an awesome group of dudes.
Well, it was super fun. It felt like just hanging out with some friends. But yeah, that was a wild podcast because I don't know anything about cars. So but it was really fun to just like hang out with a bunch of comrades for like 4 hours.
Yeah, I always want to get into cars, and I always like really respect car dudes. So I always like talking to that guy because he knows so much, and I'm like, oh, that's sick. I don't have that much passion for anything anymore.
I literally have a car that's like a project car, but like I just don't have the time. I have a lot of friends that are mechanics, good friends. And I have another, my best man for my wedding. He literally has another project car on his own. It's like a BMW 2002. It's called a 2002. It's like a 1973, 1974 BMW. It's fucking dope. And those things are expensive, man. I'm like, you're gonna drop so much money on this bitch. Yeah. Like, I open the door. The fucking floor is just rusted. Oh no! Like you can see the fucking pavement through the car, right? And he has to like do all of this from scratch. I'm like, dude, you're gonna go like 15 to 20 grand in debt just to restore this car. I amend you for it.
Every time you talk about restoring cars, all I can think about is the restoration in Home Improvement, like how they're restoring the hot rod. You guys ever watch Home Improvement?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
I feel like in the last few seasons they actually like have it all finished.
I don't remember them ever finishing it, but I don't know if I ever finished that show, or at least I haven't watched.
I've watched a couple of episodes, but it always reminds me of was it Pimp My Ride?
There's
TVs on top of the fucking roof. Nobody can see it, but it's just there. You're just like, what the fuck is the point to this? It's like if you're ever hang gliding, dude. There was a lot of problems with that show. Apparently, like they would pimp the rides, of course.
But they'd stick them with the bill, though, right?
No, they wouldn't stick them with the bill, from what I remember. But it would cause problems because when something would break down from those intricate electrical problems, it'd cost thousands of dollars to fix them.
Right.
Or like a lot of these people are poorer, right? So they're fucking living in the hood, and there's this guy with this car with a $20,000 paint job and 14 TVs on every side of the fucking door panel. The people are like, yeah, I'm breaking into that fucking car.
Yeah,
right. So they would get their cars broken into all the time. So they actually got into more trouble. And what happened was, instead of just like taking a mechanic and fixing the car and having it solid for like a couple grand, they would go into so much debt because they would have to constantly replace their windows. And fix their fucking crazy technology that they would put into there.
It's like the dark side of Pimp My Ride.
Exactly. There's a dark side to all of those realities.
You can make a whole show about the dark side of every episode.
Every reality show.
Cars and Comrades should do a Marxist analysis
On Pimp My
Pimp My
Ride.
Ride.
That'd be amazing. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna hit him up.
Pitch that to them.
I'm
yeah.
gonna hit him up and be
Yeah.
like, you got to do this, bro. This shit would explode. I'm telling you.
I wonder if. Well, because I think the Cars and Comrades guys have been on Left the Projector and talked about like Fast and the Furious and like the car movies. So like,
I think they just did it.
Yeah, that just happened. So like, I wonder if they've ever done like TV episodes of like that. I'm just saying like the crossover event of our generation is the Cars and Comrades Left the Projector Pimp My Ride episode.
Oh my
That could be
god,
fun.
man! There's a big movie. Speaking of Left of the Projector, there's a big movie that's actually really famous in China, and it's a old Yugoslavian movie, and it's called Walter Brani Sarajevo, which is a Walter defends Sarajevo, and I think it's I can't remember because it's staged in Bosnia where I'm from, and I can't remember because I've never seen the movie and I have to see it. It's kind of a disappointment, honestly. But I can't remember. It's based upon in the war in the 90s or World War II. But the Chinese love it so much that it's one of the most streamed movies of all time. It's got like 3 billion streams. Yeah.
It's just this random Yugoslavian film.
Yeah, and I'm thinking like we should maybe contact them and see if he wants to watch that. That'd be dope.
Yeah.
Dude, what's it called?
God, here, let me look it up real quick.
You're gonna have to type it, yeah, because it's just Bosnian words. Just like Bosnian.
Yeah.
What does it mean in English?
Walter defends Sarajevo.
What is that second word you're saying?
Defends.
Oh, Sarajevo?
Yeah, Sarajevo.
Walter defends Sarajevo.
Yeah, it's a 1972 war action movie. 2 hours and 13 minutes.
Walter defends Sarajevo. Found it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and apparently this is such a huge movie, and like the a lot of the biggest actors there are like Bosnian, and it's just a big film. It's like World War II. It looks like it's based World War II.
We just started World War I. We just talked about Archduke Franz Ferdinand's execution by Gavrilo Princip in Sarajevo.
It's on YouTube, and it says with subtitles, so I'm guessing it has.
Oh, cool! It's on YouTube.
English
there it is.
Subtitles, yeah. So yeah, if anybody's interested, take a look at that movie.
I'll definitely
I've never
watch that,
watched it, and honestly, I might pitch it to him to watch it. It's like an old classic.
It'd be like,
Yeah.
well, I chose the last movie, and so you gotta choose the next movie when we go on Left the Projector next.
Yeah,
This looks-
absolutely.
This looks pretty good. I'm surprised it's so popular in China. That's kind of what makes me want to watch it. I'm just like,
Well, it's because it's basically a communist movie that was not produced by the
Nice.
USSR, and so
Okay.
there's not like because we're fighting
There's no
against.
drama.
Well, there's drama, but it's like
No, I mean
wartime
with the
drama.
Chinese people though, because like the whole
Yeah,
Risos,
Tito had no problem with Mao.
Mao,
And
yeah.
that's one good thing I really like about Tito. He had no problem with anybody. Like he'd go to Cuba, and then his next flight would be from Havana to Washington D.C. to meet with Kennedy or whoever the fuck, and he'd light a cigar in the fucking office. He's like, "We don't smoke in here." He's like, "Good for you."
Good for you.
Yeah. And so he was good with everybody, man, and that's like because he was like one of the heads of that international party, because it was there's a Warsaw Pact, and then there was NATO, and he was like, fuck all this shit, I'm over here, like y'all can self-destruct for the
He's
most
Bone
part.
Thugs and Harmony in the early '90s.
Yeah. And because of that, he was good with everybody. We had the strongest passport pre-90s in the world, because we could go to North Korea as tourists whenever we wanted, and also Cuba, and every other country on earth pretty much.
Yeah, like that's what your mom was saying.
Yeah.
Your mom was giving us that history lesson. Your mom is amazing, by the way, dude. Your mom was just sitting at our table, just like chatting us up and like telling us the craziest stories. Your mom and dad are a trip, man.
They're crazy, man. The war stories, I assume.
Dude, well, just like everything, they're like incredibly like well read and like well educated.
My mom read Parenti.
Yeah,
she read more Parenti than I have.
Yeah.
Wow.
I introduced
It
her
was
to one
cool
book, and
talking to
she
your
read like
mom,
3 of them.
Your mom's cool. My Brianna was like, "Can she adopt us?" I was like, "Yeah, dude, let's let your mom adopt us."
She's great. She's crazy though. She's great. Just say no. I love her, Mom. If you're watching this, she sometimes watches.
I want to say this too for the listeners. As Eastern European as Kanan is, just picture an Eastern European wedding and like
More
just Balkan wedding, and it was 100% that, dude. Everyone is chain smoking, everyone is doing shots. And it was just like everyone was like, eat, come eat more, and I was just like, it was amazing. So it was just and then they do the dance and the hoppa dance, and everyone's doing the dance, and I was just like. And everyone's just chain smoking and dancing and drinking, and I'm like, this is the most Balkan thing I've ever seen in my life.
That is the peak. That is the peak of life, man.
Yeah.
Everybody just wants to sit there, smoke their
A
brains
Bosnian
out,
wedding was
drink their brains out,
amazing,
eat good food, and just
Yeah.
talk shit, man. That's like the life, you know.
I just had to say that was just so fun. Yeah.
Well, if honestly, a proper Bosnian wedding, a proper Balkan wedding has like over 200 people,
Yeah.
and it's like an all-day event. We met halfway. I'm like, I do not want to do that.
Yeah.
You know, the people, there'll be like 17, 20 cars driving down the street, all of them were with like a flag or something like that in a row with ribbons everywhere and just honking. Just, da, da, da. It's just all the way from where like the courthouse is or the mosque or the church all the way to where the party is. And sometimes it's like a 25-minute drive and they're blocking highways, bro. It's like that is the normal thing. And they're like, oh, somebody got married. It's like, oh, the ambulance is waiting for him, you know?
What me and my partner were talking about was like lamenting the fact that like every time we go to, because we went to a wedding recently too that was Hispanic, like a Mexican wedding, and it was kind of similar. It was just like a lot of, they're very familial, very just like culturally, like everyone's close and there's dancing and it's just like this really cool celebration. And we were just lamenting the fact that like white people have no culture, and we're just like, dude, because my partner is Mexican, so like, you know, my spouse is Mexican, so like they have that going for them. But I'm just like, dude,
white people have culture, but a lot of times they just want to hide it, you know?
I don't know. I would argue that any culture we have is just like a watered down version of something that we stole from somebody else.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Mac and cheese is not culture, man.
Mac and cheese is now culture. It wasn't culture, and then it became culture.
I don't know.
It's not a culture we're proud of, but it's a culture that does exist. You know. Anyway,
it depends. White people have Pulp Fiction.
That's true. That's true.
So
Pulp Fiction is a good one.
just
We have Tarantino. Isn't Tarantino
Yeah,
like a wild Zionist now, though?
he is a wild Zionist, and he's a freak for feet.
Yeah, he's a freak.
Yeah,
I care less about that. I'm fine with that. Do whatever you want to do. If you're into feet,
You
go
can have
for
a
it,
foot
dude.
fetish.
I don't care. Just don't be a Zionist. Yeah, and that's a real bummer because I do love Tarantino.
Yeah.
Big Tarantino
The foot
fan.
fetish throws me off, though. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm like,
I didn't even notice it until we started like analyzing the films, but
Yeah.
like I was like, oh yeah, I guess there are a lot of feet things.
Yeah.
Yeah, him
Yeah,
and
there's
Dan
always a
Schneider
feat.
are just best friends, bro.
Hmm?
Him and Dan
Yeah,
Schneider are just best friends.
We don't have as I feel like as Americans, if you don't have like the culture from like if you're not an immigrant, you know what I mean? Like we always have films, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's
I guess Hollywood is
So,
like
like,
that's kind of. But I mean,
Hollywood is a culture, you know.
Yeah,
You
I
can
think that
pick,
is kind of
pick
like-
any movie and then just like my culture is Step Brothers, you know.
sure.
Like, do you want to go do karate in my garage? You know, like, just,
There's so much room for activities.
there's
Yeah.
so much room for activities.
Pretty good stuff. That's fair. Okay, you
Sprechen
got me
Sie
there.
dick, Derek.
Did we just become best friends?
I haven't seen Step Brothers in a long time.
Hey, white culture is Kraft mac and cheese and foot fetish.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm here for it. All right, I'm here for it. Yeah, you know what? I like Step Brothers and Tarantino. You guys have convinced me. White people do have culture.
You do have culture. I think a lot of people think they don't have culture, and like I think this goes for any country. Like if you go to another country and they'll be like, "We don't have culture." Sometimes they don't see the extent of the culture they have. They obviously understand they have national songs, dances, blah blah blah. That's culture, but they don't see the little things that they do from an hour to hour, like an hour to hour basis. That is culture. For example, in Bosnia, it's like everywhere you go, coffee. They think that's normal. You come over here and they're like, "So are we drinking coffee?" It's like, "We already had one this morning. Are you trying to like commit suicide via caffeine, or because over there it's just like shot cup cappuccino. There's like 7-8 cappuccinos a day. You're like 8 o'clock. You want a cappuccino? I'm just like, the fuck, bro. I need to sleep in like 3 hours.
Is
What
it
do you
like
mean
is it
cappuccino?
lower caffeinated or is it the same?
Oh, it's the same caffeinated,
Okay.
brother. Oh, we just got problems, But that is culture. That is culture because you go over there and they have this culture. It's like whenever somebody comes over, coffee. Whenever you go to a cafe, coffee. Whenever you go to anywhere, there's coffee involved. In cigarettes, if you smoke it, it's less now. It's more hookah, or alcohol. Alcohol all the time. Everybody's always 3-4 beers deep, right? They're never 8 or 9, always 3 or 4, never 0 to 1. The only people that are under 3 or 4 are 12-year-olds, and they're about 1 to 2 beers deep. Okay,
Sure,
Oh my
sure.
God.
and so but that's culture, and they think that's normal. And then when they get over here, they'll realize, oh no, that's something that we do over there that's just not normal here. And so it's the same thing with white people here, that they do certain things that they think is just normal, but that's actually part of white culture, right?
They get to another country, they're like, wait a minute. No one's shooting up schools here? That's so weird. I guess we should start that.
Oh no! Don't export that.
God.
Our export should be film and bombs, not shooting at.
No, don't call the ambulance. Don't call the ambulance.
Don't call an ambulance. Yeah.
Somebody needs to that's
Oh my God. Jesus, I'm bleeping that shit out, bro.
Bleeping that one out.
I'm
yeah, you
bleeping
should
that
leave
out.
that down. This is why. I was telling my wife this. This is why I don't speak live. I don't ever want to like. I don't ever want to have a podcast. I'll just say
Well,
I don't notice what I'm saying, so I'm just like, oh yeah, we're just hanging
well,
out. Like,
that's
oh
why
my
you
God,
make a
this is being
podcast
recorded.
and edit it afterwards.
Yeah,
you know?
Nice,
post
that's
that
a good
post production is key.
Do you know how many times we would have been banned by now? If
Oh,
we
how
had-
much shit I've had to bleep out. Yeah, I say my spouse's name. I'm better at it now,
Yeah.
but I was really bad at saying my spouse's name constantly in the beginning, and I
Yeah, and I kept bleeping it out. I'm like, bro, if I have to bleep out the name one more time,
Yeah.
I just have to copy paste. Oh my god! But yeah, you learn, and then you have to relearn other shit too.
Yeah.
But no, like definitely, I would advise you to make your own podcast if you haven't made like a full-time podcast. That'd be great. I think you do fucking fantastic.
yeah join the podcast train.
Well, it doesn't have to be podcast. It could just be Seize the Mean Shirts or Seize the Mean Stream, Seize the Mean.
I
Whatever.
hate the sound of my own voice unless I'm making a funny voice.
We'll just make a
You
funny
know what I
voice the whole time.
Do a
The
voice
whole
all
time,
Yeah,
talk like
character.
this.
Yeah, that's my
Make it.
character, you see?
Oh, I could start a podcast where it's like 5 guys, but it's all just me.
It's
Just
He
Yeah.
has multiple personality
yourself.
disorder.
I mean, I watch a really funny D&D YouTube content creator who does
Oh,
that. It's
God.
just like D&D sketches. This is very specific and nerdy to me, but it's D&D sketches, and it's just like so everyone at the table is just him, and he just films these sketches of like him having these conversations,
Yeah.
and they're really funny.
Yeah.
So
That's
like,
really good.
it's great. Yeah, it's been done and it's awesome.
Yeah, it was like, and because like at the end of the day, if you film something, you can cut out a lot of this. For example, if you do like a 1 hour filming session where you're doing all this content, you're doing talk about this, reading that, look at this article, blah blah blah. You can really, if you really wanted to, you can cut out all the bullshit and shorten it to 15 to 20 minutes, and then it'd just be 15 to 20 minutes of like content after content after content. Just cut out the middleman, right? That's where like the more of a show versus like an open talking podcast, because we have a open talking podcast that goes 45 minutes to an hour and a half. That's usually where it goes. But a show is different. You can cut out whatever the hell you want, and nobody's going to be mad because nobody expects you to have like a continuous flow
Yeah.
form, right?
Nice.
And that way you can always cut out anything that you do not want in there. Like, I shouldn't have said that. You know.
Anyway, it's been great having you. Seizethemeansshirts. Definitely
thanks.
give it a follow. Go to the Etsy store, order some shirts. We'll have the links to everything in the description below. We'll have a link to the Instagram. Definitely go and share those shorts and those TikToks. Radicalize your normie friends using those very palatable videos. We'll have the link to the Etsy shop in the description. Go buy a shirt, and we'll have the link to the mutual aid group in New York as well. So if they have any kind of like donation or order a book, give some money to those guys. Help out the folks of New York as well. Thank you so much for coming on. That was an awesome conversation.
thanks
I know
for
it kind of went all over the place and we had no real like direction there, but that was fun. I had fun.
I had a
It
good
was-
time.
yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, that was awesome. It was
Awesome.
great to talk to you guys.
Well, thanks so much, man. Hope to have you on again sometime.
Yeah, of course. Thanks.
Sweet.
I'll see you guys later.
Good to see.
Have a good day.